And here we go. Let me just change my microphone setting to high. There we go. All right. No more obscure Old Testament prophet exists than Obadiah. He wrote the shortest book in the Old Testament with just 21 verses. We know very little about the dating of the book or the author, except for his name, which means servant of the Lord. We do know, however, his message. Obadiah wrote about the people of Edom, the descendants of Esau. Esau was Jacob's twin brother, an outdoorsman and a hunter whom God scolded after he succumbed to his lust for immediate gratification. Esau neglected his priorities and lost sight of God's eternal perspective. This inclination led to self-centered descendants, angry and arrogant people who desired vengeance over Jacob's descendants, Israel. For centuries, the Edomites gloated over the misfortune of the Jews. Obadiah targeted their selfish pride. The prophet's timeless lesson applies to leaders universally. Obadiah declares that pride and treachery earn the reward of destruction, but humility and loyalty to God gain the Lord's blessing. We learn from Obadiah that destructive rivalry, comparison, and competition provide a horrible motivation for leadership. Those incentives so moved the Edomites that they lost perspective and sabotaged their own activities. How often does this happen to leaders today? Second, God hates pride. He promised to humble the Edomites for their arrogant attitudes and their self-centered worldview. They thought they had achieved the success they enjoyed, but God exposed their faulty thinking. Leaders must never buy into the notion that they did it all themselves. The higher leaders go and the deeper they grow, the more they become aware that God has promoted them. Their success does not deceive them. Leaders blinded by pride should be pitied. God will raise up an Obadiah to humble them and clear up the issue. So God's role in Obadiah was God sees what goes on worldwide and stands ready to move with irresistible power. He used Obadiah to confront the pride of the Edomites as an example to leaders and nations everywhere. He will not allow arrogance to continue indefinitely. Generally, he grants a warning to leaders through a word from another leader, a failure, a broken relationship, a personal weakness, or a plan that falls through. If the leader fails to take heed, God sets the wheels of justice in motion, and he will execute his sentence through whatever means he wishes. The leaders that are talked about in this book, Obadiah and Edom's leaders, other people of influence in Obadiah, Esau and his descendants. And the important part, lessons in leadership. Leaders must not violate a primary reason they have power: to protect the powerless. Pride clouds a leader's perspective and causes him or her to act illogically. One can gain power in any of three fundamental ways: intimidation, exchange, or honor. God judges leaders who abuse their power. So the highlights, there are three Bible bubbles in this book. The first is about God as the source for leaders' success. And it speaks about the second verse through the fourth verse. The second leadership is power abuse. Edom used its power for unjust causes. Talks about verses 8 through 14. And then the principle of the harvest. Leaders reap what they sow. Verses 15 to 18. So because this is such a short book, I'm actually going to read the Bible parts and then read the bubble. And then we'll go back and forth doing the Bible part for the second one and the bubble, and the Bible part from the third one and the bubble. So here we go. The vision of Obadiah. This is what the sovereign Lord says about Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord. An envoy was sent to the nations to say, rise, let us go against her for battle. See, I will make you small among the nations. So God is the source for a leader's success. Obadiah, verse 2 to 4. We humans tend towards self-centeredness, self-promotion, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and self-righteousness. When leaders succumb to this tendency, they adversely affect their followers. While leaders may determine the course of their success, God remains the source of their success. God is the source of any gains we make. So if we think about God as remaining the source of success and the source of any gains we make, how would that impact you and your decisions? So I'm going to jump in and say immediately, one of the things that it would make a huge difference for me about is the fact that I turned my company over to God, the CEO of my company, back in 2000. In 2000. So feel free. I'm going to pass the mic over to Pastor Catherine. Go for it, Pastor Catherine.
Coach, I got really stuck on how the brother, that bloodline rose up against the bloodline of Israel. I mean, that's just really something, you know, when people rise up against you like that, and it's in your own bloodline, not like it's from another nation, but this is from your bloodline. This is a brother, two brothers going against each other. Oh my goodness. And we have that so much in our nations, where the family, within the family, they have risen up against each other, and they just can't shake it, and they're just so jealous. And here we're seeing how God has shown us, look, he is the one that has given us these rewards. He's the one that has blessed us, not man ourselves. We can do nothing apart from him. So all that God had given unto the brother here, the other brother is so jealous of it because they're thinking that they did this. This was you. But no, it's what God is doing in their lives. And that's, you know, God is able to bless them because their hearts are right. He can use them. They're in a position to carry out his will. Here, the brother is so jealous, God can't use, God is unable to use the brother here because of what's in his heart. You know, he's just not in a position what God is able to make a difference in their lives. And so they're looking at man, but it's actually God that is working with them. But we hold on to things because we think it's us, and so that blood of Edom has come against the Israelites. But yes, it's because of that rivalry between Esau and Jacob, two brothers. When you're in a family like that, sometimes you're gonna get mad at your brother, your sister. You're gonna, and but you don't hold it against them. You don't go from century or from generation to generation still holding a grudge. Somebody got to rise up and stop. You got to stop that. Come on one accord. Be at peace. Don't let that hatred keep going down in your generation, passing that on to your children. So I just wanted to share that. And I love how Maxwell has really broken this down, even in the bubbles, just letting us know, that God is the one that's the source. He's the one that you got to look at. Stop looking at people. When we get so caught up into what people are doing, it causes problems. My God. I'll pass the mic back over to you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And with that, I pass the mic over to Alyssa.
I can relate to that situation myself, and I'm just in a position that I just have to not allow anger to rise in me because of the consistent attitude and selfishness and just not normal behavior that has befallen my family in the recent years, and all I can do is pray because I don't have any power to do otherwise. And as for leading people, any time spent towards self-promotion, self-sufficiency, reliance, self-righteousness, self-centeredness, I just see it going down the toilet, a business, because when you need a team, such a large team to fulfill each of their parts of a business, you can't show that, you can't be that, any of those characteristics. You can't have them in your heart because it doesn't make a team. It's just impossible because it's just impossible, and it doesn't work when like team leaders underneath of the main leader break off and do that. I mean, they make their part fall, and it's just it's a house of cards ready to tumble if you have any of these, and you're trying to make something happen when it comes to business anyways. So that's what I can say about that.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. And with that, I pass the mic over to Chunmin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What are your thoughts on leadership highlights in Obadiah?
So you mean the topic is about leadership? And
Yes, sir. About what God really sees and what is ready to move with irresistible power. And how does somebody get back up from having everything being broken?
okay, yes. Okay, yeah. Okay, so leadership again. So I assume that the leadership is that we follow Jesus. So that God lead us in our life. Yeah, I assume that. Yeah, so yeah, so I think first we have to trust God, have a good plan for us, for our life. Yeah, a plan that want to bless us. Yeah, not to harm us. Yeah, so we can trust God. Yeah, He will guide us to direct our path. Yeah, and secondly, I think we need to submit ourselves to God's plan. Yeah, submit ourselves to God's leading. Yeah, follow Jesus, not follow our own flesh desires. Yeah, and also we have to pray and reflect and to seek the guidance of God, from God. Yeah, sometimes maybe we are not clear where God will lead us to, but we should be patient. Yeah, and wait. Sometimes need to wait, but we should never be dispelled or lose hope. Yeah, I think. Yeah, and also sometimes we need mentors and friends, and we need to have someone that we can look up to. Yeah, someone that will encourage us, inspire us. Yeah, to make sure that we are on the right track to follow Jesus. Yeah, that's all I can think of at this moment.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chanlin.
Thank you, Coach. Yeah.
So as we move along into Obadiah, I'm going to pick up from where we left off. If thieves came to you, if robbers in the night, oh, what a disaster awaits you. Would they not steal only as much as they wanted? If grape pickers came to you, would they not leave a few grapes? But how Esau will be ransacked, his hidden treasures pillaged. All your allies will force you to the border. Your friends will deceive and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will say, as long. But none, you will not detect it. Is that okay, declares the Lord? Well, I will not destroy the wise men of Edom, those of understanding in the mountains of Esau. Your worries, Teman, will be terrified, and everyone in Esau's mountains will be cut down to the great daughter. All right. Your warriors, T-men, will be terrified, and everyone in Esau's mountains will be cut down in the slaughter. Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. You will be destroyed forever. On the day you stood aloof, while strangers carried off his wealth and foreigners entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were like one of them. You should not gloat over your brother in the day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor boast so much of, in the day of their trouble. You should not march through the gates of my people in the day of their disaster, nor gloat over them in their calamity in the day of their disaster, nor seize their wealth in the day of their disaster. You should not wait at the crossroads to cut down their fingertips. No. So as we look at this here, don't gloat over your brother in the day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor boast so much in the day of their trouble. You should not march through the gates of my people in the day of their disaster, nor gloat over them in their calamity in the day of their disaster, nor seize their wealth in the day of their disaster, nor should you wait at the crossroads. The day of the Lord is near for all nations, as you have done. It will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. So this is about power and abuse of power. Edom used its power for unjust causes. Obadiah 8 through 14. The Edomites violated an important use of power to protect the powerless, even though the Edomites did not directly violate the Jews. So power abuse, Edom uses its power for unjust causes. The Edomites violated an important use of power to protect the powerless. Even though the Edomites did not directly violate the Jews, they did not stand idly by, written on another. So once again, even though the Edomites did not directly violate the Jews, they did stand They did stand idly by when another country abused them. When leaders have the power to do good and don't use it, God holds them equally guilty. Okay. The Edomites violated an important use of power to protect themselves, the powerless. Even though the Edomites did not directly violate the Jews, they did stand idly by when another country abused them. When leading, however, leaders have the power to do good and don't use it. Cold. Wow. Okay. Sister Catherine, what do you think?
I mean, well, that's just such a dangerous thing. You're just gonna stand by and watch your family just perish. You're just gonna watch them be destroyed when you got power to help, but you refuse to help. You refuse to take in that little orphan child after that child has lost both parents. But you have the power, you have the means, you're rich, but you don't want to be bothered. You just gonna declare, look out for yourself. You on your own. I'm gonna turn my back. Why they abuse you, because I don't care. That's just a I don't care attitude. And we have a lot of I don't care attitudes in this world. That's why things is in such chaos. It's because everyone is just thinking about me, my, and I. And it's not about me, my, and I. It's about the whole body. The eyes cannot say, I don't need the hands. The feet can't see, I don't need the ears. We need the whole entire body. The heart has to work with the intestines, with the brain, everything functions and works together. And when we get that straight, when we do that, then we will have a complete, healthy, strong body of people doing those things that is right. So it's a shame when a brother can have a heart to turn his back on another brother. That's just sad, but that's the way it is in this world that we're in. We see it all the time, but it's time for some changes, and God isn't having it. He can see everything. He knows how we're treating our sisters. He knows how we're treating our brothers, and so we can't hide nothing from God. That's my share on that, Coach. Mike, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sister Catherine. Pastor Catherine, appreciate the mic's back. All right, so we're going to wrap this up, this chapter and this book. We're going to wrap it up. The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. Jesus. All right. So the last piece of this puzzle is the principle of the harvest. Leaders reap what they sow. So I just want to set that out there as we now go to Alyssa. Alyssa, what did you want to share about the previous input? Go ahead.
Honestly, I forget what I was gonna say, but I just know, I don't know, when you I know what I'll just say. Right now, but like with Israel, and then many times throughout the Bible, it is God's. It's His place. It's His country, and when you don't support Israel, I mean, as we are told, and God forbid that never should happen, you're not going to be blessed by God for sure. And God has come through in mighty, mighty miracles for the ones that needed help in the time of help, and then ones that were not good to those people, that little country of not many people and not a huge army, not much strength, as though it seemed, still would come out in the end victoriously, miraculously, only through God. So is we've seen throughout history, God has it as He wants it. In the end, no matter what, how small that person is that needs help, and the people that stand by, which is a lot right now, regarding that, because billions of people just want to wipe it off the face of the earth, but they will not. They've come so far, they're not going to do that, and I pray that we never stop
Mhm.
in that way,
Oh, yeah.
supporting them. So that's what came to my mind. So.
Whew. This is a lot to carry in. A lot rests on the shoulders of the leaders in this case. So with that, I want to pass the mic over to Alyssa. Anything to say about power abuse and leadership?
Power abuse. I've seen it not do well. Like when you're kind of selfish, self-centered, I see leaders struggle, and when they are not, they want to be self-righteous, as in the one who leads everything, and not give credit to anybody or any of the people around them that are doing, who are the powerless really, but are needed to accomplish a goal. Doesn't work out well ever in the end. And especially when when it's obvious that there's some not grateful for anything that is underneath them, that they are reliant on, and treat them like they aren't people. They'll reap what they sow, because those people will not have any respect for them. Therefore, they won't want to. They will not want to, be resourceful, like be hardworking people. So, and just like the person who doesn't help or give advice or to train or do anything as a leader should, and take the reins. Whatever happens falls upon their shoulders, but it's gonna amount to how they treat their teams and their army, their people. So it's gonna come back on them if they don't protect the powerless, meaning the people who don't have the power in the situation. And same as, like farmer who doesn't reap what they sow. They reap what they sow. So if they're lazy, they're not gonna reap anything.
Reap nothing. Yep.
So it's the same thing goes for that too, basically. And I don't know. I've just seen different ways of that playing out through my life, and it's funny how God he has his way in the end when you're like, like this person's in power, like what in the world, and then before you know it, they're gone, or they're gone. But it might take a while, but God makes them suffer through failing and not being a winning business or whatever it is they're doing. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Alyssa. Chun-Min, over to you.
So I don't really follow, but I think leadership, we have to hold the leaders accountable, and the leader, I mean, the leaders have to have someone that can hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot be alone or dictator. So it's very important. It's very important for the group of people. They hold the leaders accountable. And there's and also when the leaders they did the wrong things, the individuals they have to fight with that, the democracy. So in the US have the democracy, but people have to continually fight for their right. Otherwise the democracy cannot sustain. So the individuals also have to be strong. Then so that's how I see that we need to hold the leaders accountable.
Thank you, Chun-Min. So one of the things that I see in this session, in this book, God holds us accountable when we gloat over our enemies. Just like it said in 12 through 16, don't gloat over your brother's day, the day of his misfortune, right? So telling me that when you rise up and you get up to this status, when you get up and you can be like an eagle, as it says, remember. And I think I really get the place here. No matter how high you go, to keep yourself humble and to keep yourself knowing, one, that God got you there, and second, that if you brag too much, you get your ego gets too much, you will be put down. God is not that. The purpose of allowing you to get to this level, to get to a higher level, to get to that place, doesn't mean you get to lord it over people. And so, you know, when we look at this, there are really three things to take away from this, right? The sovereignty of God, the judgment of God, and the triumph of God. So with that, Pastor Catherine, would you like to round us out? Pastor
Yes. This is good right here. This is a good subject today. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still having a lot of heavy rain here coming up from North Carolina, so I'm in and out. But great subject today. I mean, it just really just teaches us we can't think so high-minded of ourselves. You know, God doesn't want us to do that, because it's exactly what happened to Satan. Satan thought so great of himself that he wanted the throne of the Most High God. How stupid. That's just pure ignorance. You can never be able to be greater than God or more powerful or more excellent than he is. But that's what selfishness calls you to do. It calls you to think more of yourself than what you ought to. And see, we're not supposed to think more of ourselves than what our God has created us to be. We have to be satisfied with the way that the Lord has created us. We cannot take credit. We cannot look down on a brother or a sister just because they're going through their trials and their tribulation. You think you're some great one. We rebuke that. That's just horrible. So I just enjoyed everything that I've heard today, all the different shares and the word. This is the word that has gone forward. It's just showing us the sovereignty of God and how patient he is with us, but also the correction of God, how God will correct his sons and daughters if we are out of position. So, wow, my God, this is just awesome. I pass the mic back over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Catherine. Thank you for this. Thank you for this opportunity for us to come together and share today. And if Alyssa, would you like to pray us out this afternoon?
Sure. Thank you, dear Heavenly Father. Thank you that we could come today and study